All right, good. Trial number two. I did the wrong one, but now I've invited my man David Langford. I'm walking around because I just got a new chair, not a new chair, just a folding chair because I don't want any squeak from my other chair because I forgot my headset. Can you believe it? So I'm just gonna have to talk louder than normal. But we're about to have my man David Langford on in a moment, and we're going to be talking specifically about a great ministry that David Langford and some other guys came together to do, and that is something called Synago. I believe this will be the fourth year. And so David Langford is there, and so he wants to be in. I'm going to approve the guy, and I'm going to bring him in. It says it's adding. We'll see if that happens. Last week we had a little difficulty in adding him for some reason, but I think it should work. So, but Synago Conference, I've been twice, and I can say that it is both informative, and it also is great in that you have a time in order to get with people and also worship God, and it's just great for spiritual growth as well. Which, speaking of, here he is. My man David Langford. Say hi, David.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's awesome to have you. You having a good morning so far?
So far, very good.
Good, good. You enjoying Columbus Day?
I hadn't even thought about it.
You know, I the only reason I thought about it is because my children stayed at home today. My mom's watching them, but my wife, she had to go to work. And so my children, they get to just kind of hang out and be lazy today. But you know what? I haven't really thought much about it either. But hey, if you happen to be watching this and watching David and I because it's Columbus Day and you're off, hello.
Hey.
Hello, Richard Aquera. It's good to have you. And so we'll have people pop in, and I just want you all to know, if you do have questions of David about Synago or anything he's talking about, you can post those, and we'll try to answer those as best we can. David, like I said, man, it's an honor. I want to tell everybody, David Langford is a good friend of mine. He's also, I see him as a mentor in many respects, and I don't know if he knows that, but he does now. He's a good guy, and he's a minister at Quaker Avenue Church of Christ, he's part of Synago, and he's written several books as well, and he's come for our church. He has also done a gospel meeting, which was outstanding. If you've never heard David Langford speaking, you need to. He's a great and wise preacher. And so I want to thank you for being here, David, and I know you didn't expect me to say all those things right now.
No. Checks in the mail, though. That's fine.
Checks in the mail. That's right. Well, all right. Well, David, we're here to talk about Synago. So I guess the first thing people hear or they think of when they hear that word is, what language are you speaking?
Yeah, well, Synago, of course, comes from the reference to the word synagogue, but the original meaning meant come together or gather together. And as we talked about what we wanted to do with Synago or with this conference, it was tossed. A lot of ideas were tossed about, but we finally came up with the idea of Synago as just a neat term for it, and it stuck. So we held on to it.
Oh, good. Okay, so Synago basically means coming together.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people hear about that, I mean, why is it you guys felt the need to create that?
Well, 4 or 5 years ago, a number of leaders and churches across Texas, mostly Arkansas and Oklahoma, got together and talked about the fact that one of the things that has happened in the last 10, 15 years is that a lot of the gatherings that used to be real common among our churches just sort of quit. Seminars, workshops, jubilees, retreats, all kinds of gatherings just sort of quit happening. And because of that, people quit getting together. And for years and years and years, every year you had 4, 5, 6 opportunities to go to some kind of an event, some kind of ministry, and connect, reconnect, meet with people in different churches that were, historically connected in our heritage, and also work together to support a lot of really great missions and ministries. And that connectedness, that getting together was a big part of the vitality of our churches and the vitality of our relationships, the support of our ministries. And so we decided that we wanted to kind of rejuvenate that and create a new gathering and try to get folks to come together again. And so far, it's been pretty good. We've had good turnout.
So if somebody were to say it's another gospel meeting, would you say it is or it isn't? How would you? Is it similar or is it different?
What it fundamentally is a conference for church leaders. And what we try to do is find someone who is particularly gifted and experienced or qualified to speak to an issue that we think will resonate with church leaders from any kind of background. And so at its very core, anybody that comes, whether they know anybody that's there or not, will hear material that we think will help them in their attempts to support and provide resources for their own local churches. In addition to that, of course, it's an opportunity for fellowship and reuniting and coming together with people who've known each other for a long time and don't get together very much anymore. Not just people that go to the churches that are historically connected in our network of churches, but people that used to go to those churches and don't anymore, but still have relationships. And so we're just trying to reach out and pull people together that have history together and understand the movement and rejuvenate those relationships.
Yeah, and I can say from personal experience over the past couple of years of doing it, and actually our church hosted that last year at Westworth.
Yeah.
And this year it's going to be Farmers Branch. I can tell you it is neat. The fact that you bring these people together that see each other, they might see each other once a year. Maybe they haven't seen each other in 5 years.
Yes.
But I mean, you see them, they're walking through, they're like, hey, and I mean, that's exciting that they come together to do that and see each other. But there's more than that. Like you were talking about some of the things going on. Hi, Terry. What is it that Synago this year is kind of focusing on, David?
Well, we talked about a lot of potential topics. There's a committee that puts this together. We get together on Skype messages. Sometimes we get together in actually a location. But John and Alan Ketchersid and myself and Sean Tyler and Curtis Shelburne were kind of designated as a committee to try to plan this at that meeting we had 4 or 5 years ago in Irving. And so we got together, we talk about different possibilities, and we come up with ideas of people that one or more of us have some kind of relationship with that we can approach. And this year, we got to talking about, the challenge we have engaging our world. We live in a world that's increasingly not like us as Christians.
Yeah.
The values that surround us are sort of in tension with what we believe is important. And of course, all of us know of the crazy incivility and the arguing and all the fighting that's going on in our country. And so we want to think about how do we most productively engage this world around us in a way that will actually affect the cause of the kingdom. And so we talked about lots of people, and we invited Tim Perrin, who's the president of Lubbock Christian University, also an attorney, and formerly the director of the law school at Pepperdine University, and just a good friend to a lot of us, and asked if he might speak. He has spoken on these issues before, and it just has a lot to say about the role of the Christian university first, and how the Christian university has a unique role to play in engaging our culture. And then also the relationship between the Christian university and the church, which is really interesting dance. And so those two talks will be given on Saturday morning. And then Saturday night, Kenneth Hawley, who's a deacon here at Quaker and a professor at Lubbock Christian, has done a lot of work on the role of faith in film and how Christians have used film to interact with the world, and how sometimes films produced not by Christians at all end up being great messages of faith to the world. And Kenneth is a real expert on that. And so he's going to present on Saturday night. And then at Saturday afternoon, Sean Tyler will be talking about the incredible ministry of Livingstone International University, which is an example of this very same topic in Africa. And of course, a lot of people are involved in supporting Livingstone. And this is a chance for people to get caught up on what's happening. Some of the changes that happen are just amazing. So Mana Eid, who's the first graduate and highest honored graduate from Livingstone, is going to be there to share. and maybe some other folks in Livingstone. So there's different ideas about how we engage our world, and it'll be a lot of fun.
First of all, I want to say, what up, Kirk? Kirk Cow is watching.
Oh my goodness!
So if anybody's going to give a tough question, David, it might be Kirk. So be prepared.
We may have to silence Kirk.
Silence him. And then, of course, Anita Gray. Hey, Anita.
Hey.
Yeah. I wanted to also say, in talking about those things, I'm looking forward to that, and I haven't signed up yet. I'm going to sign up, man. I'm so lazy.
Actually, anybody signs up until the day before. It's really
that's right.
Planner.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing Tim Parrott. That should be interesting in talking about that, because when you think about the role of the church in connection with the university, there is somewhat of a disconnect. For some reason, there's sometimes this mentality of that there has to be a disconnect between that idea of knowledge and university and the church. And I think it's good to be connected, because that's where we have our up and coming church leaders. That's where we have our up and coming people who want to deal with the church, and we can find that untapped potential and sometimes already tapped potential that's already there to put them in place, maybe in internships and things like that. Also, getting them connected, and I think it's a great idea. And I've noticed that Quaker, it seems, does a really good job in particular with that. And of course, I'd like to talk to you more about that sometime, but that's not our subject.
Yeah.
My mom's watching. Hi, Mom. But I think that's a great idea. I think people should really come for that, especially not just church leaders, but church members in general really could find some meaning in that message, especially when you have children who are going to church, because it's not just about churches finding connection with people. It's about those people in the university finding connection with the church, I think, often.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Tim has talked a lot about the ministry of the college to the churches, and LCU, as many of the Christian universities, have very specific ministries that are designed to help support churches, and so there should be a really mutual relationship there, and the end result of that should be making both even more effective in our engaging the world. And that's the idea behind the talk.
Yeah. Well, and I got to tell you, concerning Kenneth Hawley at Summer Excitement, he did a little bit of that.
Yes.
I think he only did it for maybe 30 minutes, maybe. And there was part of me that was like, I'm good. Let's stay here for another couple of hours. I'm currently reading, I've told you this, I'm reading The Lord of the Rings with my children, a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and actually a less than 1-year-old is in the room. And we did that last night, and boy, when Daddy starts to talk, David, it's just bah, 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 bah. She loves it, but it also teaches us patience and endurance and all that. But when you read about Gandalf talking to Frodo about Gollum and the concept that he wants to put judgment. Oh, I wish somebody would just kill that guy. And he says, well, is that really? I mean, that to me is just a powerful statement. When I read that in particular to my family, both my son and daughter were just, they raised their hands and they start saying, that reminds me of Jesus. That reminds me of, and for kids to make that connection and to actively be seeing that, not only in a book that was written for that, but also in books and in movies that weren't.
Yeah.
That changes your world perspective.
Well, and I think of all people, Christians should appreciate the power of stories, since our Lord used stories so effectively to communicate messages. I'm reading a book now called Jesus is the Question. Very interesting book when it says that Jesus asked over 300 questions in the 4 Gospels. He answered less than 10. It's an interesting book. But that's the reason. Often when people ask him a question, he would tell them a story, or he would ask them another question. And
that's right.
And telling stories is a powerful way of engaging our culture, and that's what Kenneth will talk about. And obviously, we tell stories today through film. Not people read much anymore, and so or as much, and so we go to film. So it's helpful for us to be able to be good watchers of films and understand how to watch them effectively.
And it's in reading poetry or whatever. I talked to my church yesterday about the fact in high school, I hated literature because the teachers would give me stuff and say, read it. And I had to read it, and I didn't want to read it, and I didn't find its usefulness. And one of the first things that I read that I really wanted to read was not something someone told me I had to read, but it was when my father gave me a book of poetry by Henry Van Dyke, and I started reading Henry Van Dyke. I haven't read every poem in that book, but I started to find more of an appreciation for poetry and a personal connection, which is, kind of where we need to come for the Bible, for story, like you're talking about. It's very important. I also want to say that if anybody was here to watch not the last video we did 2 weeks ago, but the one before that, I had Sean Tyler on this Facebook Live, and we didn't have time to talk about the Livingstone University, but I can't wait to hear about that at Synago.
It's just amazing. In fact, this year there were 2 great gifts given, and it's going to enable us to build the campus to a place where the students are going to be able to move on to campus. And there'll be, I don't know, I think there's potential for 300 or 400 students now on campus. And it's just going to be life-changing for hundreds and hundreds of students throughout Africa. It's just going to be such a wonderful thing. We're really excited. And Sean will tell the story from 2 very different perspectives. Sean, of course, is part of the team that dreamed about it. And then Richland Hills Church got really involved in helping make it a reality. And then Mana is one of the first beneficiaries of as a student. And so it's a moving story. And I think people will really get excited about it.
So now what's that person's name?
Mana Eid.
Mana Eid.
Mana Eid.
And so they're going to be there also?
Yeah, she will be there. She's actually lives in Mbali, Uganda, and she decided to go there. She was connected to the mission team in Mbali, and so she went to school there and graduated. She was the first student to enroll, the first student to graduate, and she graduated as valedictorian. So she's just an incredible gal.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
That even excites me even more. I can't wait to be there. I hope you guys are going to watch this and desire to go do that, because that's going to be great. One of the questions I wanted to ask you, I mean, we talked about what is it, why is it, and what people can expect. Is there anything else, David, that you think people need to know about Synago in general, just to kind of get more of a vibe or a sense of what's going on?
One of the things we like to do is to have it hosted by different churches. And so far, Synago's been hosted by 4 different churches, and the branch will be, I think, the 5th church to host it, or maybe the 4th. And this year, the branch is hosting it partly because they're also celebrating their 30th anniversary in their new building. And so there's going to be a lot of activities going on the same weekend that will be celebrating the great legacy of the Farmers Branch Church. And in addition to that, what we always do at Synago is select someone to honor who comes out of our heritage and who's done a great service for the kingdom and who's usually connected to the church that's hosting it. And so this year we've asked, we're going to be honoring Eddie and Verlin Ketchersit and the great history they've had in the kingdom. And so that will be happening at noon. And there'll be 2 or 3 people making presentations to honor them. And then at 6 o'clock, we usually, Saturday evening, we always have a worship service together. And but this year, we're going to also be honoring Ted Polk, the late Ted Polk, whose legacy of music ministry has had a tremendous impact on so many of us. And so a lot of people are going to be coming, especially for that, just to be there and honor Ted. And so that'll be 6. So in addition to, I think, really excellent teaching, to great fellowship, it's also a chance to honor some people that are really worthy of the honor. And then one other thing that we do a lot there is we have all kinds of displays of ministries that we're connected to in various ways. And people are sometimes surprised at the ministries, the missions that are going on that are kind of connected to our heritage. And so that's always a fun thing. And you'll find out about some really great things that are going on in the kingdom.
Yeah. And I also want to point out that we currently are in the presence of the parking lot pastor, Mr. Roberto Clay.
Oh, boy.
What's up, Robert? That's not the parking lot pastor. That's Clay Johnson. Robert Clay, it's good to see you anyways. He's a buddy at Baker Boulevard Church of Christ. I just had a joint service with him. Clay got in my brain.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Well, one of the things that I love about what you were just saying, David, is the fact that those displays are one of my favorite things because you get to see, like you said, all these ministries going on throughout our churches that are currently making a difference in the kingdom that they may never heard about, or they heard someone say something about, and they just didn't make the effort, even though they may have wanted to. They didn't have time to find out more about it. Oh my goodness, there's amazing ministries going on.
Oh yeah.
In fact, our church is going to be having John. I don't know if you knew, but John and Samantha Jewell are going to be coming back
Yes.
on furlough, and so they're going to plan on being there. They're going to have a display. They're going to be walking around talking to people, and I can't wait to see them and their kids, of course. But um, um, they're going to come and talk about the ministry that they're doing there in Lilongwe, which has really expanded and grown. And we've actually got a plot of land now, David.
Really?
That we purchased. Yeah, right next to a main road and everything. Yeah, Robert, I know you're not, but hey, I know who you are. Oh, Robert's a good guy. He and I go out to eat. We went out to eat at a good breakfast cafeteria place, and they got good food. But that's not this subject. Is there anything else, David? I think Synago, I want to tell people before I kick it back to you that if they have never done Synago and they have the weekend and they're looking at their schedule and it's relatively empty, or if they've got any time, man, come. It's a wonderful thing. You're going to find something for you for knowledge base, for spiritual enlightenment, to get together and sing. I just really recommend for people to do that. How do they do it, David?
Yeah.
How?
You mentioned the singing, because Friday night we'll be getting together before the Saturday conference. We get together on Friday night, I think around 6:30. I think the branch is going to be putting together a meal for everybody that comes. That's why it'd be good to let people know who's coming. And
Yeah, that's true.
And then we're going to be singing for about an hour, and just a lot of folks getting together and have a grand time there. So that's a big part of it as well. I hope people can come, and if that's all they can come for, they'll have a great time for that. I want to mention again those displays, because one of the whole reasons that we did Synago was because those ministries that were started by many of our churches, the support for those were because of the network of our churches. And so we really want to nurture these relationships. So works in Malawi and Uganda and Ukraine, and works in many of our radio ministries and our periodical ministries, and just so many good ministries going on, summer excitement, things like that. People can stay in touch with and continue to support. You can go to synagoconference.org, and you can sign up for Synago online, and there's a chance there to pay it there. The registration, I think, for the weekend, for all the meals and everything, is $45, and for a couple, $55. You can.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, I think it covers more than what would be expected, and you can also just register when you get there and pay when you get there, and so either way would be fine. And we would love to see people show up Friday night or Saturday morning or whatever part of it they can be.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I was talking to. Is Tim Ketchersit the one that's at that
Tim
church
is the
branch?
Person at the branch, and you can contact him there directly.
Yeah, and he also said that you could sign up on their website.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, please, if you haven't signed up, sign up, and I will be signing up. I plan on signing up. So I look forward to seeing you, and I assume you're going to be there, David.
I'm planning to.
Okay, good. You should, since you're on the.
I'll be in trouble if I'm not. So I plan to.
All right, cool. Now, have you already released a list of people who've already signed up, or?
I did on Facebook, an initial list.
Okay.
We need to add to that because several have signed up since then. But 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had about 25, 30, 35 people that had already signed up. And so we anticipate probably between 100, 150 people usually show up.
That's about what we had when we did it at our church. So yeah, it's really good. Okay. Well, David, I want to say thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's popped in and said hi. It's good to see everybody. And if you are watching this later and you're not watching it live, that's okay. Go sign up for Synago, and hopefully I see you there. All right. David, I can't wait to see you there.
Yeah.
God bless.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.